Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello, my name's David Seaman, and this is the Three Lions Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions Podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. That last episode, I said I was getting Euro 2024 vibes. Happy to be corrected there. Let's get straight into it. You know the score. An amazing evening. Come night. Come morning in Mexico City. Bashing down the doors of the fortress Azteca. We had a job to do. Surely it's up there with the likes of Italy in Rome, Germany in Munich, Argentina in Switzerland. This is one of England's greatest ever games. Mexico 2, England 3. Sit down, Maradona. This isn't about you anymore. Coming up on the show, I'm delighted to be joined by England fan Dean Cornish, who was there in Mexico. I will also hear from Johan, a Norwegian fan out in Miami, getting ready for the game. And plus, we'll hear from you too. Now, before we get to that, let me tell you quickly about my evening, if my voice will get through this. I live in a Hertfordshire village, population AB 3,000, maybe just under, give or take. 3 pubs in the high street. One of them doesn't tend to show sport, the other 2 do. One of them chose to open, the other decided to close. The open pub had sold its allocation before I even spoke with them for tickets to watch the game. However, there is also a village club. Lovely place, sits on the river, loads of tellies, lots of space, £10 a ticket. 2 of those, please, mate. And we had a spot directly in front of the telly, unobstructed view. Me and a friend got in for just gone 9 for the Norway-Brazil game. Now, Brazil had just had their penalty saved when in rushes a blonde-haired lady wearing a red Norway shirt and carrying a flag on a stick. She asks, can she watch the game as she's not a member? Landlord says, fine. Thank you, she says, before then saying, I also have friends. As she heads back to the door and beckons in 5 more Norwegian women. We were dumbstruck just sitting there. Where had they come from? It was like a sketch show. But they came in, bought drinks, cheered when Haaland scored, shouted when Neymar got mouthy at the end, then celebrated with their own version of the Viking row before leaving. Where they came from or where they went to, I have no idea. It was fantastic. That was one of my World Cup moments, that. So then we knew if we were to overcome Mexico, we'd be meeting Norway in the quarterfinals in Miami. But as more and more people began to come through the doors for the England game, the news was breaking that the kick-off had been delayed by an hour because of the storms in the area. They had been forecast, as only on Saturday evening had the suggestion of bringing the kick-off forward to 7 p.m. UK time, midday Mexico. It had been mooted by FIFA to supposedly miss these storms. And for 4-5 hours that evening, this was all everyone was talking about. And this was whilst Canada were in action against Morocco. But fortunately, both England and Mexico's FAs pushed back, citing it would cause havoc with match-going fans. There was a suggestion of broadcasters wanting a bigger TV audience. But every man, woman and dog knew this game was a possibility and the time it had been scheduled for. And I think for once, FIFA backed down. But that still doesn't distract from some of the other shenanigans that they have been part of this tournament. Notably, Trump getting involved in the suspension of following Balogun's red card for their game against Belgium. But that's a different story. But what a game, with everything that came with it, as I say, the time delay, the weather, the altitude, all that had been playing in the build-up to it. Jude Bellingham, wasn't it, who got us those 2 first-half goals in the space of, 90 seconds. And all of a sudden, the game had changed in our favour. Jordan Pickford had already saved from Raul Jimenez earlier on in the game. And he thought 2-0 up, heading into half-time. We were in a commanding position, but Julian Quinones got one back. Jarell Quansah had been selected to play right back, that position that we've struggled with in this tournament. And unfortunately, on 54 minutes, he was sent off for a... Was it reckless? I'm not so sure it was reckless, but it was a high foot, studs up challenge. And I think it was the right decision to send him off. So we were down to 10 men. But it felt for the next 5-6 minutes, there was so much action going on the pitch within the game. Mexico had a chance before Jordan Pickford released the ball to go down the field when suddenly Anthony Gordon was brought down by the Mexican keeper, Rangel. Penalty for England. There was a moment when Jude Bellingham had the ball in his hands and I thought, hang on, is he going for a World Cup hat-trick here? But no, of course, Harry Kane slotted home to make it 3-1 in England's favour. Harry Kane would be involved again, this time in our own penalty box, with what seemed an innocuous challenge on Brian Gutierrez. And all of a sudden, it was Mexico who now had a penalty. And it was now that Jimenez got himself onto the score sheet. 3-2 to England now. And it was now that Mexico came forward at every opportunity. Harry Kane was sacrificed by Thomas Tuchel, as on came Dan Burn and Jed Spence. 11 minutes of injury time were found. From where? I've no idea. But those 11 minutes, they were tough. Mexico threw what they could at the England defence, but they held strong and they held out for a famous victory in the Azteca. Remember that record that the Mexicans had? Only 2 competitive defeats at the Azteca? Well, it's now 3. And I read that Jude Bellingham is the first player since Diego Maradona to have scored twice at that stadium. So as I left the club at about 4:30 Monday morning, dawn had broken, people were walking back home. It had a holiday feel to it. There was chatter in the air. A car horn sounded as it passed to the people walking home, as we all cheered, probably waking up those who either had no interest or were preparing to shortly wake up and watch the game on catch-up. Hopefully no spoilers through that. But like myself, my voice had gone, as did Harry Kane's. He's laughed this off on social media, but I think it's worth hearing again.
Well, Harry, huge congratulations. What a contest, what a win. But I just firstly wanted to ask you what's happened over there by the England goal, because there looks to be some concern.
Yeah, Jordan, my voice is gone. Henlo just fell over there. I think it's okay. Just something to do with his arm.
OK, well, as for the performance, I think it says it all, the fact that your voice has gone. That was some contest to watch. What on earth was it like to play in?
Yeah, it was a crazy game. We had to fight. We had to find something. Yeah, I've just been sitting there. I can't really talk, but yeah, all the occasion, the team, everything against us, we found a way.
I was going to say, is that what pleases you the most, the resilience today? Because even your penalty, a word on that as well, not the one you scored, the one you conceded. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I thought I got to the ball first. It was one of those days that the ref gave a lot against us. And in the end, it didn't matter. So, yeah, I'm happy.
I'm going to try one more question if your voice holds out. What can this do for England going forward? You've got a quarter-final in Miami against Norway to look forward to. What can the England fans look forward to now?
Well, just look at them here. Incredible. Unbelievable support. Speechless. I can't even talk, so...
Go and rest that voice. Rest up. Thanks, Harry.
I'd like to welcome back to the show Stamford and England fan Dean Cornish, who has just returned from being out at the World Cup and indeed the Mexico game. Dean, hello there.
Hello, Russell. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. The day we're talking, you've just landed. I imagine you're quite jet lagged and tired, so I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you joining us.
No problem, Russell. I'm happy to. You entertain me with your podcast, so all I can do is try and be available for you when I can.
Oh, you're too
You've got
kind.
me a couple of flights over in America with some of your ones, so that's appreciated.
So much to talk about. If you don't mind me, can I quote from your book?
Of course you can. Absolutely.
or I'll paraphrase. Mainly, here it says, mainly, I couldn't miss the prospect of a tantalising last 16 knockout game in Mexico City. That game in Mexico City is not only a massive draw because of the city and the Azteca Stadium, but also because we would be playing the hosts. I'm sure a knockout game against Mexico in their national stadium would be absolutely superb. Everything you hoped for?
Exactly. Well, it was, to be honest. It was. In fact, to be honest, it was even better than what I expected. But yeah, as you said, when the draw was made, when I was sort of looking and seeing what games I was going to do at this tournament, I mean, I can't do them all. I know a lot of people do all the games. I can't do them all in terms of money, in terms of time and everything else. So I was sort of looking and seeing what I'd like to do. And I didn't fancy necessarily the group stages so much because, I thought there'd be a couple of dead rubbers in there, with 3 teams going through from most groups. I did do one of the games. I did the Ghana game in Boston. But yeah, certainly when I was looking at it, I thought I've got to try and do that last 16 tie. And luckily it all worked out in terms of, obviously us winning the group, Mexico winning the group. And yeah, it was everything and more. I mean, not only was it amazing, obviously, to be at the Azteca Stadium and play the host, but the fact that it was such a good game, and just everything around it, such a good game. Obviously England winning, absolutely that helps as well. So it was one of those games, and I thought it might be that hopefully will become iconic. In 20 years' time, I think we'll be looking back on that game and thinking that was one of the most amazing games there's been in our World Cup history, and particularly if we go on and win it. I think it's one of those where, if we do go on and win it, you'd look back at the other games and you think, well, that is the game that was the toughest. That's certainly an incredibly difficult game to go and play the host in their home stadium with all that goes around it in terms of their record there, the altitude, everything else. It was amazing.
Go on. So what was it like? What's the atmosphere getting in there? Just tell the story for us.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the one thing that surprised me the most, Russell, was that it wasn't that antagonistic. I mean, in the ground, it was antagonistic at times, as you'd expect. There was a bit of bite to the fixture. Yeah. There wasn't great segregation. There was the England fans' end behind the goal. There was the bottom tier, which I think was Cat 1 and Cat 2. And then there was the Cat 3 where I was at the top. And there was a few Mexicans in between. And when they scored and when we scored, there was beer being thrown. There were objects being thrown generally. But after the game, and particularly before the game, it was so friendly, so friendly. I before the game, the night before the game, I'd arrived from Atlanta on the Friday night. So on the Saturday, we did a bit of tourism and stuff. We went to Oxymilco, which was great. The little boat trips, which was really good fun. And then we were out in town, and we were in this bar, and there was probably about 300 England fans in there, and we were all singing our songs. And then the Mexicans would sing their song. And at one point, I thought this is going to be, you worry that it might kick off because, you're in the capital city of a football mad nation and you're sort of taking over bars and singing your songs. But they just wanted to sing and wanted to talk to us. And it was amazing. There was no, I didn't feel any hint of trouble the night before the game. And And then on match day morning, I walked around at about 9 in the morning, first of all, after having my breakfast, and everybody there was wearing a Mexico shirt. Literally everyone to a man had a Mexico shirt on. The roads were closed, the police were out, and I thought, we're about 9 hours to kick off here, and it's literally like absolutely fever pitch. It was unbelievable how much they were into this game. And for them, it was a big honour to have like a big team like England playing them, in a knockout game in their country. And I think it was a bit of an honour for them to have a big travelling fan base as well. They liked us being there. They genuinely did. You could tell they were honoured, I think, to have us there.
Yeah.
And we found a bar in the Zona Rossa and put our flags up. And I reckon we could have stood holding our flags up with people taking photos for about an hour, because it was like there was like a constant queue of people wanting to sort of have a photograph with the flag, talk to us. It was quite incredible. They just loved us being there. They genuinely did.
Amazing. So it's going to be Stanford flags with Mexicans by sort of all across Facebook in Mexico.
I know exactly. I imagine they're going to be Googling, A, where Stanford is, and B, what trophy we won in 1980. Because I've got the image of the FA vase in the bottom right corner of the flag. Oh. And the other one actually was, I was with some lads from Nottingham Forest, and they've got a great flag with an image of Stuart Pearce on it.
Yeah.
And apparently there were some locals who said, "Oh, Psycho. They know how much about English football that they recognised Stuart Pearce." But yeah, there was not a hint of trouble in the morning. We got to the ground. We left. We got the metro to the ground with good time. To be fair, we didn't want to be rushing, and we knew it would be difficult getting in with obviously with there being such big interest in the game and being so many locals knocking around coming into town as well for their fan zones and everything. So we got there early, probably about 3 hours before kickoff, and then obviously it was delayed, so we ended up being there 4 hours before kickoff. But there were no problems on the trains. Like there was a good, healthy sing song between us and their fans on the metro. But as I said, I didn't get the feeling that I was in danger at any one point. And before we got there, before we travelled, I thought if we were on a train going to the ground and we're having a sing song or whatever, I thought there'd be issues, but there was nothing of the type, nothing of the like. It couldn't have been friendlier before the game. Same around the ground. Like we were drinking either in the ground in the concourse or just outside. There was like a little area where there were bars and restaurants. Good natured singing. It was brilliant. Like literally, you couldn't wish for a nicer atmosphere. There was still a bit of bite to it, but generally it was a good atmosphere. And then I said, in the ground, there were words had between Mexicans and England fans. There was beer being thrown a little bit, but it wasn't. It was on the right side of. It wasn't over the top. It was just what you want from a competitive knockout fixture. You want there to be a bit of spice to it, really, and it was amazing.
And then once the game got going, and Jude Bellingham scored 2 in 90 seconds. The England fans must have just gone berserk and just silenced the Azteca.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the noise from their end at the start was they were olaying initially, and it was incredible. It was similar to me to when we played in Russia in 2007 in terms of just the local fervent atmosphere. But yes, obviously when we scored, they went a bit quieter, and then when Bellingham scored the second, it was quieter still. It was amazing scenes on our end. It really was. I mean, fantastic. Limbs often gets sort of referenced, but it was like that. It was brilliant, and just the atmosphere was just amazing from the England fans, and it was such an amazing couple of minutes. I didn't know it was that quick, the second goal, until I've sort of watched it back or sort of looked on social media afterwards and seen it was like 86 seconds or something like that. Yeah. But it was amazing. 2 great goals at the other end from where we were, which was a bit annoying. But yeah, just brilliant. It was everything you'd hope for. That first, I think it was like the first 35 minutes, they were probably on top, but then it was a proper smash and grab, 2-0 up. But then obviously they came back into it. They scored probably a few minutes after our second, I would have thought, from Quiones, who they said would be the danger man. And then you really felt that they believed then, and their crowd got massively behind them then, even before they had at the start of the game. It was ear splitting. It really was.
Wow. Yeah. But that was half time, 2-1 up. Second half came out and found Quansah getting himself sent off. I mean, that must have really spiced them up.
Yeah, it did. It did. Do you know what? I thought it was a good challenge from where we were, and it was in the other half. I thought that's a good challenge. But what I did notice was their bench flew out, like literally, like similar in fact when Gaza made that challenge in 1990, and the German bench or the West Germany bench flew out because they I suppose they wanted to influence the referee, but their bench flew out and like were complaining. And I thought, well, what's he done there? Because it didn't look like a bad challenge from where we were. But looking back on it, I can see why it was given. But I mean, it wasn't malicious in my opinion. But I can see why it was given. Yeah. Yes, that obviously spiced them up. And I thought, well, this is going to be, how are we going to do it? At that point, we had 1 goal advantage, didn't we? It was 2-1.
Yeah.
But yeah, thankfully, Kane's nod on to Gordon, and as soon as Gordon got through, I thought we're either getting a penalty or we're scoring, and that was at our end, and that was brilliant to get that third goal. Was get that have the 2-goal cushion again was superb.
So Kane scoring at your end,
yeah, and that was just brilliant. But obviously then went back to 3-2, and you could tell they really believed because we were down to 10 men. We were probably tiring by that point because of the altitude. But those last 20 minutes, I think after they got their second goal, it was an incredible atmosphere because they thought they were going to go on and win it. But then with about 10 minutes to go, I noticed that it went a bit quieter because they started thinking, hang on, this might not happen here. And then they went a bit crazy again when it got noted that it was 11 minutes injury time.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it got to about 96 minutes, I thought, hang on, they're not scoring here. They're not scoring. Everything was getting repelled by Dan Burns' big heed or someone else. It was quite an amazing rearguard action. It was just it was so good to see the heart from that England team that they didn't want to go out. They didn't want to get beaten. In years gone by, we might have crumbled. Certainly, we would have done 20 years ago. I don't like to knock Southgate, but I think under Southgate we would have lost that game. Would he have been able to make those tactical changes that Tuchel made when we went to a back five? Probably not. And we just basically there was no way through. Pickford obviously was amazing as well. He made some great saves.
Great saves, yeah.
It was a proper rearguard action, and to do that in their home ground, in a ground with so much history, where we've been cheated out of a World Cup before, was amazing.
Full time comes, must have been great.
Yes. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, great scenes. It was just, I think Pickford punched it away, didn't he? And it was like, we were at 112 minutes by that point, or wherever we were, 102 minutes. Sorry, get my maths right. And yeah, it was great scenes. Just brilliant. And to be fair, at that point, that's when the Mexicans became a bit more, I don't know, like during the game, as I said, they were getting aggy with us. But as soon as we'd beaten them, a lot of them were coming up and shaking our hands and saying, well done, which surprised me. And then we got held back for a little bit. And then the riot police took us through the concourse out of the ground. And as we were coming down the concourse, there was a great bit of singing, we're not going home, 10 men in the Azteca, on our way to New York, blah, blah, blah. All the classics were coming out. And then at the bottom of the ramp, there was probably about 40 or 50 Mexicans had held back to basically shake our hands and say, well done, and say, they were all saying, go on and win it, beat Argentina in the semi-final. None of them want Argentina to win. And, I genuinely felt that they liked us, which you don't often get when you go to an England away game. You normally felt like you're not wanted there, but they seemed to like us.
Yeah.
They seemed to like us being there, and it was amazing.
Yeah. Well, you say about Argentina, at the time of talking, they were 2-0 down against Egypt. So I don't know if that's finished yet.
Well, I'm afraid to say, Russ, it's 2-2 now.
Was it really?
I've got it on just in my ears and my eye shot, and I didn't want to yelp when Argentina scored their second in annoyance, but it put me off my stride a little bit. But
what was that? I mean, just talking of songs there, you must have been part of the Wonderwall singing.
Yes, yeah,
spine tingling.
Which it was. It was almost a bit annoying though. With Argentina just scored 3-2. Oh, sorry. It was almost a bit annoying that they came so close to the bottom tier that we almost couldn't see them from the top tier because they came right up to the fans. which is great for those in the bottom tier. Don't get me wrong, but for us in the top tier, it was, you couldn't quite see what was going on. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it was still great to have a sing song. Then they played Robbie Williams' Angels, which I think is the first time that they've done that for this tournament, from what I could tell. And obviously, it's Coming Home as well. So yeah, I mean, it was brilliant. It really was. It was great. But a lot of the Mexicans stayed behind. Like, I'm sure if that was Wembley, we would have been out of there as soon as we lost. But we were singing Wonderwall, and I was looking around thinking, actually, there's still a lot of Mexicans here.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after we'd walked out of the ground, we didn't want to get straight on the train because A, we thought it was busy, and B, we fancied another beer. So there was a like a sort of bar area, well, not bar, but loads of kiosks basically, and we had a couple of beers there whilst waiting for the crowds to go down, and like Mexicans then again were coming up to us. Like a couple of us gave us the one person gave me a present of like 2 little Mexican wrestling masks. You know, he said, "I'll take the memento from Mexico." You know, and just generally they all wanted to come up and talk to us. So yeah, it was nice. It didn't feel like, you know, I really felt if we beat them in their own backyard, there'd be problems, but nothing of the sort. It was fine. And then when we got the metro back to town, it felt a bit more antagonistic in town. If I'm honest, there was a few people on the metro, like, you know, sort of giving us the bird or whatever, but nothing untoward. But you know, just a bit of what you'd expect, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, if you've just knocked out a host nation in their own World Cup.
Yeah. Good to hear. I know that was the second time out in this World Cup, wasn't it? First time out, you've gone for your arranging the coaches, as you have done for many occasions before for England fans. Unfortunately, it didn't go to plan this time, and you kind of went viral, didn't you?
Yeah, it actually ended up in the Times as well. It was, I think, Henry. It helped that Henry Winter follows me on Twitter. He lives locally, and he follows a few England fans, I think. And he retweeted it, which made it sort of become big news. And then one of his colleagues at the Times, or someone from the Times, emailed me or direct messaged me and said, "Oh, do you mind if we cover this?" And I was like, "Absolutely, that's fine." But yeah, we got 10 days before the Boston game against Ghana. The coach company basically emailed me and said that the price has changed. It was $3,800 more now,
wow.
Which is just unbelievable price gouging. They'd obviously got offered more money, whether it was from Uber coaches or someone else. I don't know. But yeah, in the end, I had to cancel it. And to be fair, I did get a full refund. And then obviously I refunded everyone, all the England fans that had paid me the 32 quid. I refunded them in full, which took a lot of evenings of, you know, processing refunds. To be honest, it was a bit of a pain. And also the refund from the coach company took a while to come in, and it came onto our credit card. So I had to try and find a few grand to refund everybody. But anyway, in the end, I managed to do it. It was okay. But yeah, I was pleased that the Times covered it. And do you know what? We also had another issue when we were driving down to Heathrow for that game. I got an email, just checking emails, and the hotel that we were staying in cancelled our booking the day before we got there.
Oh, no way.
We had a £300 hotel room for £300 for 3 nights, which was a great deal. But also we booked it 4 months ago, whatever. It was booked through this other guy. In fact, I booked it through someone on the forum who basically the Facebook page, the England fans Facebook, didn't need it anymore, but he'd booked it ages ago. So I paid him the £300. He put my name on it, and then basically we got a message from him on the way down saying that they've cancelled it. So we had to book somewhere else, which obviously you can imagine how expensive it is the day before the game. Yeah. £600 a night for match night we had to pay.
Ouch.
So yeah, we got completely shafted there, unfortunately. But that's what we come to expect. Unfortunately, in America, they just seem to, you know, whoever pays the most, they go with, no matter how much it annoys anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunately the way. Well, I referenced your book at the beginning, quoting from it. How's that gone? I see a lot of people have taken it as in-flight reading.
Yeah, I think he's done all right. I mean, I've not checked in the last week and a half how many it sold, but it certainly sold 150 copies. In the first week, I think it sold 150 copies, and it was up I think it was at number 5 or 6 in the football charts. You know, it was ahead of the FIFA official guide at one point.
That's what we want.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's you know, as I've said before, I didn't do it as money-making exercise. I did it just to get the word out on it, really. Or not get the word out, get basically to sort of, put my memories down on paper, almost for me, really. And just because, people always ask us about England games, how it works, what's it like, what the people are like. So, I did it not to make money, but just to, because I wanted to. And yeah, I think the reception generally has been pretty good. I've had a lot of people say they really enjoyed it. One person on X told me it was boring, and and said that I didn't go to the right bars in Sao Paulo, and he called me something beginning with N and ending in B. But I don't know why. I don't know why I've upset him. But
it's obviously read the whole book.
Yeah, it was a bit weird, really. I don't know why he came up with that, but anyway, he did. But generally, the feedback has been positive,
Right.
And it's all good. I'm pleased I did it.
No, it's a good read. Go on then. Norway next. How far are we going?
Well, do you know what? If it was Brazil, I'd have said we'll beat them. Norway, I'm still going to say we'll beat them, but I think it'd be harder than Brazil. I think that Brazil, I think we would have been massively up for it because it's Brazil, and I don't think that they're that good. Norway, they're the sort of games we tend to mess up in, where we think we should go through, and then they'll be very well drilled. We know obviously Haaland's definitely going to score a goal against us because that's what happens when you get big players in the Premier League playing against us, and the fact he scored in 16 internationals consecutively. So, we're going to have to be on our game. We're going to have to score at least 2. I think 2-1 England would be my desire, but I reckon it's going to be probably a 1-1 extra time, maybe penalties. It's going to be a really tight game, really difficult.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's going to be a tight one. I can't call it. Obviously, I would want us to win it, but you just know it's going to be a tight one.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. So yeah, then it looks like it will be Argentina in the semi if we get through that. I think we could beat Argentina. I mean, they've struggled past Egypt, struggled past Cape Verde.
Yeah.
So we just got to get past Norway basically. And then I think we beat Argentina, which would be a classic. And then maybe it's France in the final, or maybe Spain. I'd rather Spain than France. I think we've got more of a chance against them. But we can do it. We've got a bit of momentum. Looks like Reece James is fit again, so we're sorting out our defence. So why not? Why not? Let's do it. Let's do it.
Still a long way to go, but yeah, stay positive.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, as we know, that Tuchel is a tactician, and that's what we need in these big games. With Thomas Tuchel tweaking things for us in game, then I think we've got a chance. Obviously, Bellingham and Kane are both on fire at the moment. We need them to keep their form up. Anthony Gordon played well in the last game. Pickford's doing all right. Declan Rice, we've got a good side. We've got a good side. So let's hope it happens. Thank you.
Nice one, Dean. Thank you very much, as always, for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
No worries. Happy to do it, mate.
Thanks to Dean there. We're finished chatting just as full time was called on that game between Argentina and Egypt. And amazingly, it ended 3-2 in Argentina's favour. This after being 2 down. I've since watched the highlights. Amazing comeback from Argentina. But there's a lot of talk about Egypt, feeling they were cheated. They had a goal disallowed, which, had it have been allowed to stand, I think would have been one of the goals of this tournament. But as is now the way, every goal is checked. And yeah, there was a foul at the beginning of the build-up to it, which is a shame. In fact, the Egyptian coach has gone on record as saying they were treated unfairly and suffered injustice. He also said perhaps they wanted to keep the world champion in the competition. Perhaps they wanted Messi to stay in the running. One of their players, Zico, said the referee was really unfair. The injustice was clear. There has been an unfairness right from the start of the match. Went even further to say it is clear that this tournament has been fixed. These are big words, big statements. And to be honest, sometimes when you look at it, you think, you know what, mate, you might have a point. I've seen a few internet memes saying FIFA, FIFA, standing for Fixed It for Argentina, or the day before, Fixed It for America, which I know I said was another story, but I'm going to come back to this actually later in the episode because it really has made my blood boil. But having lost all three hosts, Ronaldo and Brazil, in the space of a few days, could FIFA really afford to lose Messi too? But getting back to England, let's hear what you guys thought of the game and the performance.
Hi Russell, Charlie here, and yeah, just I'm speechless to be honest. It's what a night it was, and hardly got any voice left. But yeah, just special, and it'll be one that we talked about for throughout generations as another special England night. And again, Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane just linking up, showing why they are just so good. And I felt England did so well because a lot of things went against them. I thought both their 2 goals were very harsh. I don't think it was a free kick or a penalty. But, you can't control these things. And England dealt with them so well. Defensively, really solid. I thought the subs were great. I know, like Jed Spence, for example, he's had a lot of stick, but he was great when he came on. Dan Burn, John Stones. So many players were really good who came on in such a difficult game. And I know there's so much talk about the altitude and the hostile sort of environment and the loud Mexico fans, but England dealt with it so well. And honestly, just a special, special night. And again, one that will be remembered for so long. And I generally think that'll give us a lift and hopefully we can go all the way. Come on, England.
Well, I hope you fully recovered from that one. Flipping heck, and what a match. Yeah, wow. I won't be too long because I'm sure others will want to share their views, but my goodness, it was just absolutely amazing. Who would have thought we'd be there just clinging on for dear life, a man down against, not Morocco, what am I saying? Mexico at the Azteca, but wow. Yeah, England, we don't make it easy for ourselves, but my goodness, we've become very, very, very good at just finding a way, and finding a way we did. Just absolutely fantastic, absolutely amazing. Quarterfinals, here we come. Unreal.
Good morning, Russell. Stuart Franklin here, fan of the show. Superb performance by the boys in the Azteca. Wow. I think probably the best ever World Cup performance on foreign soil by the Three Lions. I honestly believe now it's coming home, honestly. Yeah, come on, England.
So that was England's best performance probably of a long time, certainly in my lifetime, watching England play since 2002, 2004 era. Just backs to the walls at times, defended superbly. Jordan Pickford, unbelievable performance, showed why he's England's number one. Anthony Gordon had his best game for England, certainly showed why Barcelona have paid the money they've paid. Jude was fantastic, took his 2 goals really well in quick succession to really put Mexico on the back foot. Obviously, we saw them come back to 2-1 at the break. And Harry, well, he was just simply King Harry for England yet again. Probably in terms of chances, not his greatest performance. I can only recall the one chance he had, which was the penalty, but he took that to perfection, especially after the Croatia missing the retake. All the lads played well, including Kwanzaa. Yeah, was a red card, but maybe a bit of a harsh one. But I'll say that with 3 lines tinted spectacles. But I think if we'd gone out last night, then I would have been sad, but not gutted, because the lads had given it everything. And, Mexico in that Azteca Stadium in the arena would have been a tough ask for anyone. But we're through.
So our opponents in Miami will be Norway, the second European team we'll have faced in this tournament. A nation we've faced on 12 occasions since our first meeting back in 1937. Now, the record to date is played 12, we've won 7, we've drawn 3, and lost 2. And our most recent encounter was back in September 2014 in a friendly, which we won 1-0, thanks to a Wayne Rooney goal. Now, we've never met during a tournament situation, but we have during World Cup qualifying, most famously during our ill-fated 1994 campaign, drawing at home, then losing in Oslo. So how did Norway get to the World Cup? Well, they qualified from Group I, winning 8 out of 8, and subjected Italy to the playoffs, didn't they? But during those games, they scored 37 goals, 16 of which came from Haaland. And then whilst at the tournament, they were drawn in Group I, alongside France, Senegal and Iraq. Now, they beat Iraq 4-1 in their opening game. They beat Senegal 3-2 and were already qualified before they put a second-string side out to France in Boston that they lost 4-1. So they then moved into the knockouts by beating the Ivory Coast 2-1. And then in the round of 16 facing Brazil, once again winning 2-1, thanks to those 2 goals from Erling Haaland. So obviously over the years there have been plenty of Norwegians in the Premier League, to the point you could almost have a starting 11 of them. Erik Thorsvedt, Spurs goalkeeper, Ronny Johnsen and Henning Berg, defenders at Manchester United, Stig Inge Bjornby at Liverpool, Morten Gant Pedersen, midfielder from Blackburn, then up top, Jan Arge Fjortoft of Swindon, John Carew of Aston Villa, and then another one from United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And of course, going back to defence or midfield, father of Mr. Haaland, former Nottingham Forest and Leeds Manchester City player, Alf Inge Haaland. But this current squad, this current Norway team, coached by former Wolves manager Ståle Solbakken, it features Sander Berge and Oscar Bob of Fulham, Jordan Strand Larsen of Crystal Palace, Martin Ødegaard of Arsenal, and of course, Erling Haaland. You may have heard of him from Manchester City. OK then, let's cross to Miami. Let's speak with Norwegian fan Johan Holmefjord. Johan, hello there.
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us on the Three Lions podcast. You're in Miami for the World Cup. Have you just got to Miami, or have you been in America seeing previous games?
I went to Norway, Brazil, in New Jersey, so I just came down to Miami now for England.
So was that always your plan to go out for the first knockout games?
I couldn't go for the group stage because of things back at home. So after we got through, I just booked flights. I had no tickets, but I couldn't miss this.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, it's Norway's 4th World Cup. You've got to be part of it.
Yeah.
So you got out to the States for that Brazil game with no tickets. Did you get tickets out there?
Yeah, I actually got from my bank at home, so it was all good.
So, I mean, beating Brazil, that must have been unbelievable.
It was amazing. It was, it's like, we had a hope because we actually have a decent team for this World Cup. But, Brazil is Brazil. And they never exit that early. No, it was amazing.
Yeah, I read a stat that Norway or Brazil had never beaten Norway in the previous attempts anyway.
That's correct, and still standing.
Yeah.
5 matches, 2 draws, and 3 wins for Norway.
I mean, that must have been, well, that's clearly the biggest win, isn't it, for them?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've flown out from Norway. What was the feeling back home before you left?
Yeah, everybody back home is so excited about the World Cup now. we've not been there for 28 years, and now to be able to play like first round of 16 and now the quarterfinals, it's just amazing. So everybody, it's kind of like building up, your national identity, everything.
1998 in France was the last time Norway took part in the World Cup. Were you part of that? Did you go to France?
No, I didn't.
This is all new. Norway, it appears there's a lot of fans out there.
Yeah, there are quite a few, and I've got friends calling me. How do you get tickets? I'm coming. Yeah. So it's gonna be a blast.
So you're in Miami now. You've got a ticket for the England game?
Yeah.
Obviously, the history between England and Norway is a bit fragmented. We've only met on, I think, 12 occasions, but we've never met in a World Cup or a European Championships.
So it's going to be special, sure. I'm a big Man United fan myself, so I go often to UK. So normally I've been in the previous World Cups, I've been cheering for England. So for me, it's a new experience to be able to cheer for my own home country.
As a Manchester United fan, how is it with Erling Haaland playing for Manchester City?
Well, I like him now for 2 months, and in August it's back to normal.
I mean, speaking of Haaland, obviously he is the focal point for Norway and a danger player, not just for England, but as he's proved against Brazil, a danger player. 2 chances, 2 goals. Would it be naive of England to just concentrate on him, because Norway have got so much quality across the team?
Yeah, you can't just focus on him, but of course you have to have 2 men on him, so it leaves space for our wingers, and they are dangerous as well. You got Nusa, got Bob, Sørloth, Sheldrup, so we got a lot of quality, and we can, as we did against Brazil. We started with Sørloth and Nusa. They didn't really have a good game, so we changed to Bob and Sheldrup, and it was a different game.
What's the feeling with the manager? Is it Solbakken? What's the feeling with Solbakken?
He's shown to be really pragmatic, and he can read the game very well, and he kind of like can change style of play. So I'm really happy with him, I have to say.
Obviously, England have come through our group. We've come through the knockouts, obviously beating Mexico in quite an exciting game. I'm sure you saw that.
Yeah.
How do you feel it's going to be?
Well, it's going to be a tough match. I think it's going to be quite a tight match, to be honest, because you have qualities, of course. You have Harry Kane, and Bellingham's been amazing, but it's not like you've been looking like the world champion.
No,
I do think we have a chance. England is, of course, a favourite, but I wouldn't be surprised if we can do something on Saturday.
Yeah, Martin Ødegaard despite being a title winner with Arsenal, he had a bit of a hit and miss season. Yet this World Cup, he seems to have picked up his form.
Yeah, I totally agree. He looks like he's back where he was last season, when he was really good for Arsenal as well, and for Norway. He didn't play in most of the qualifying matches for Norway. But now he looks like the captain and the playmaker we want. Well, no, he can be.
Yeah. Going back to Erling Haaland, obviously with his Manchester City connections, there's going to be potentially 3 Manchester City defenders facing him: O'Reilly, Gay, and John Stones. I mean, that's interesting.
I'm not sure if they are looking forward to it, to be honest. Of course, they know in training, how to be up against him, but he can be look so lazy and unfocused, and then suddenly he's just there, like you saw for the first goal against Brazil.
There's like a switch in him, isn't there? Where he just, as you say, you can just wander around the pitch, and then he just needs 2 touches, a turn, and a shot.
Yeah, and it's so difficult to defend against, because he's a beast. He is.
There was talk of a stat, I think, where Dan Burn had played against Haaland, and he'd got the better of him in, I think, 7 out of 8 games.
Well, I still wouldn't be confident that it would last, So
yeah.
We'll see on Saturday.
Tell us about this Norwegian row, because on the chant, I mean, we see it all on the telly. It's going to be one of the supporters' moments of this World Cup.
Yeah, it kind of started like everybody at home also, most of us thought it was a little bit strange, and this is not going to catch on, but the way we've been doing it, and the supporters been doing it all over now, in the streets, took over Times Square, and it's going to be a blast here in Miami as well, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and even especially when the players also joined in, it's been connecting the players with the supporters in a quite unique way, I think.
Yeah, I've seen. There was Ødegaard on one game, and Haaland with the drum as well. Is that a supporters' drum, or do the team have that on the bus?
No, that's the supporter drum.
Is it?
Got down from the stands and just wanted to have that moment with the fans.
Yeah, it works, and it's very much in the same way as England have got this song with the Oasis Wonderwall song. It's a connection unique between the team and the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see. What are your thoughts on this World Cup in general? What have you enjoyed?
I do think there's been some good football, and I like that the refs let the players play. You don't give a free kick for just touching somebody. I like that. I like that there's been more playing time, less breaks, for the throw-ins. I like the new rules from FIFA. In general, I'm not a big fan of FIFA because they are,
Yep, I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Got the hydration break.
Yeah, of course. In some games you need it because it's hot. It's hot here, and the humidity is crazy. Like in Miami, it's really crazy. So in some matches you need it, but the rest of the matches it's just for commercials.
Yeah. Am I right in saying the stadium in Miami is outdoors? This is a stadium without a roof.
Yeah, correct.
I'm trying to think. Have Norway already played in that stadium?
No.
Okay, so the humidity will be a factor then in this game.
I think so, yeah. But it will be the same for England as well. It's not like the English players are more used to that kind of weather. So
yeah, no, I agree.
I'm just looking forward to a good match on Saturday, and I do think going up, of course, in the semi-final against Argentina, I suppose, would be an amazing game. It would be a special game for you English with your history, but for us, it would be just a dream,
Do you plan on staying out for it?
I'm not leaving until we lose, that's for sure.
Amazing. Excellent. And you found the Americans to be hospitable?
Yeah, quite nice. Yeah, they are really proud of their country, of themselves. They talk a lot about themselves, about their sports, which they think are quite superior to football. But that's just how they are, you know. But in general, yeah, really, really friendly, and everything's been good so far.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So you think that you can do it? Norway can beat England?
Of course we can.
Looking forward to a good game, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Johan, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the atmosphere. Yeah, and thanks for joining us.
No problem. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks to Johan there. And also thanks to friend of the show, Mike Curtis, for connecting us together. Now, I tried to get the lowdown on Miami for you from the tourist board there, as I had done previously. But the two tourist boards I contacted, neither came back to me. I guess they're busy. But I have found out it is the Hard Rock Stadium, which, once the tournament is over, will have hosted 7 games. 4 of them group games, 2 knockouts, and the 3rd place match. It has a capacity of just under 65,000. Now, it's the ground where we played back in 2014, prior to the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. We played Ecuador and Honduras there. It also hosted games at last year's World Club Cup, but this year, amongst others, it was here in Miami that Brazil beat Scotland 3-0 and where Argentina only just overcame Cape Verde. Let me just return to the whole Balogun-Trump FIFA situation. I know the game has since gone. Belgium justifyingly winning 4-1. I actually think the US team were embarrassed by the whole situation. Whether that contributed to the defeat in the manner of it was, we'll probably never know. But that defeat and their exit is going to be remembered for all the wrong reasons. But it was Donald Trump, President of the United States, who got involved. Let me just play some of his words for you.
Yeah, I did. I spoke to Johnny, who's highly respected. So I saw the play, and I'm a person that loves sports and was a good athlete. And I understand sports really well. And that wasn't a foul. That wasn't even an infraction. That was 2 guys running full speed that happened to crash into each other. You can't take your foot and properly place it on somebody else's foot when you're going, no, these were 2 great athletes that got tangled up. And this referee, who is a little bit suspect, if you check his past, I don't want to say that because I don't like to create controversy, but very suspect. He made a call that nobody could believe. You know, even people on the other side, they say, "Oh, we got lucky. Wow, and it's very interesting. They say they don't show them in slow motion, and I never realized that. I never heard of that before. That they're not allowed to review in slow motion because it's so different. Because you'll take one little quarter of a second and you'll see that a hand is touching a neck or you see something. Whereas when you see it in fast motion, it will look like 2 guys collided, which is really what happened. They got sort of entangled. He didn't do anything wrong. And he's our best player or one of our best players, a very vital player. And he gave him a red card. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't think it meant much. Then I started hearing that means he can't play in the next game, at least in the next game. I said, boy, that's a big, if it happened to another player, it would have been unfair. But when they take your best player or just about, they have some great players, and they say you can't play, that's very unfair. That's, it's one thing to penalize somebody for the game, but how do you penalize them for a game that hasn't been played yet? It's very unfair. You can't do that. So, yes, I asked for a review by FIFA. I spoke to a man who's highly respected, and by the way, whose level of respect has gone up tenfold. And he was good before this started, but, he really pushed it in this country. I'm the one that got them to do it. It was not Biden. Biden was asleep.
So this this really makes me sick. Makes me mad. It's clear Infantino is so far up Trump's backside, it's not even funny now. Trump calls in a favour because he wants to try and get an advantage in a game he's clearly unfamiliar with. Infantino bends over, pretty much touches his toes. Yet, when at the beginning of the tournament, when there was a variety of issues happening, namely the Somali referee being sent home, teams and players having visa issues, Iran being denied a stay in the US, where was Gianni Infantino asking Trump for favours? I know the phrase "the game has gone" is bandied around often in jest, but I think it really has. How can FIFA really be taken seriously now? I mean, even Sepp Blatter condemned it. And that really does make you think. And also I see UEFA took the opportunity to comment on it by saying world soccer's governing body had crossed a red line and undermined the integrity of the game. And they've got a point. They are spot on, UEFA. Sometimes they do get things wrong, but UEFA have seen this and called it out. This whole sorry situation has left a stain not just on this tournament, but the game as a whole. And as I say, it makes my blood boil. I'm so angry. But here we are, into the quarterfinals. So there's still games to be played. Let's quickly take a look at those matchups. We've got France against Morocco, Spain against Belgium, Norway, England, Argentina, Switzerland. There are 4 previous winners still in the hat. There are 4 teams who have never won it before. I think they are all fairly clear-cut, apart from our game, which I really can't call. I can see France, Spain and Argentina all making it through to the semi-finals, but I don't think our game is, as I say, clear-cut. We will, though, find out very soon. Thanks as always for joining me. Thanks to Dean and to Johan for their input too. Don't forget you can follow the show on social media. Just search 3 Lions Podcast. It should come up. Give it a like, give it a follow. Also, if you could leave a review or a rating on your podcast provider, that too would be appreciated. So I will be back with you very soon, hopefully looking forwards towards a semi-final game in the World Cup. I hope you can join me for it. So until then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.